In today's tutorial, I thought would step it up with us in my 4D. So today I thought we'll talk about this menu here. So I've undocked it. If you want to do the same thing, let me close it here. Just click and hold it, and you see this right here. Just click on it, it will undock, and now it will float around. So I'm just gonna put this to the side here so we can all see what it is that we'll be working on. So anyways, these I believe they are called primitives, and primitives are pretty much don't quote me on this please, but I think they're pretty much kind of preset already made inside of Cinema 4D, so that way you're not the one creating them. I'm not really sure of the definition, but I just thought I'll say the little bit that I know. But anyways, we'll start with the first one. I just want to get you guys familiar with this. The first one is the cube. So if we click on that, you see it drops the cube into your viewport here. You see you can view it in 360 when you rotate this. And by the way, these four icons here, the first one here is the move tool. You can use it to pan around, upright, side, however you want it. And the next one is the zoom, so you can use this to zoom in and zoom out. And this third one is the rotation tool. You can use it to rotate it. And the last one here is just gonna bring up your four viewport, which is the perspective view, the top view, the right, and the front. And by the way, you can always change any of these. So if for example you want to change this top view, I think you come to view panel, or not that, I know there's somewhere where you can change. Okay, yeah, so you come to camera and you can always change this to however you want. So it's on top right now, so let's say we want to change that to left. So you see now it's changed to left, but definitely I don't want that. I'll put it back to top, so it's on top now. So the reason why these views are really important and good for you is so you're working on something here and you're finding it so hard to work from the top view on here, so you can always switch to the top view and work on that. You can do the same thing on your right and on your front view. So let's get back to perspective view. So with the cube right here, you can always there's something called the attribute. So what the attribute is this is where you get to manipulate your primitive. So as we have our cube there, from here you can see size. On X we can change the size there. On Y you can change the size there, and on Z you can change the size there. Segments, what segments will do, if you watch closely, as I increase the segment on X, you see how there's a line that adds to it. If I add more lines, watch out, you can see that. So these are called your segments, and what this segment helps you do is it kind of helps you to kind of give your primitive more detail, because now you'll be able to work with individual points, segments, and all that, to help you give more shape to your primitive. It would make more sense as we move on in subsequent tutorials. So you can always add more segments in the Y, you can add more segment in the Z, so however you want it. So here you can also separate surfaces. I don't think this will be helpful right now, but let's go to fillet. So fillet, what fillet does is, so this is also a way where your segment will be helpful. So see now, if I reduce my segments here, if I reduce this segment here, see fillet radius, you can always change that, and you can change the subdivision. This will also help you smoothing out your primitive right there. So the same way cube has its own, a circle will have its own as well. Let's say we delete the cube and we're now working on the circle. As you can see, the circle automatically already has its own segment, and you can always reduce it. So the lesser the segment, the less detailed your circle is. You can see that the lesser, and if I increase it, it becomes a better circle. Radius is pretty much the scale, and you can this also has type. There's standard, there's all these different names that I don't even really know how to pronounce. Icosahedron, you just have them, like they'll come in handy eventually when you get to and this right here is the fung. The fung is this tag right here. If you see, if I delete that, it would not smoothing out my shape, but if I have back my fung, it would smoothen it out. That's pretty much what fung does. Let's go back to the let's go to basics. So with basics, you have visible in editor and visible in renderer. So what this does is these two icons right here represent these two. So as is on default, if I go to off, you see now it's red and now it's off, but this is just in the editor. But if I click render, it's still gonna show because it's only in editor that we turn it off. But if I also turn it off in the render, now if I click on render, now we don't see it. So now let us turn it back on and let us click on circle on Fairback, and here we get to change the color. We can change it to whatever color, and there's something called the X-ray. What X-ray does is, so you can see now we can see through. So for example, if I have my my cube inside of it, you can see now we can see that the cube is inside this sphere. So let us change this sphere back from X-ray to normal. So can you see now we don't get to see it? So we'll do one last one. The cone, let me delete these two. The cone also has its own coordinates. I'm not sure if I talked about coordinates earlier, but what coordinates does is, this is where you get your position, scale, and your rotation. For the rotation, you can see if I move, it moves in that direction. If I move, it moves in that direction, and if it moves in that direction. Let us put it back to 0. For scale, this will scale individually. It doesn't scale like proportionally, so you can scale in individual scale. And for coordinates, this is position right here. You can move on the x-axis, you can move on the y-axis, and you can move on the z-axis. And if you want to increase these lines in higher multitude, just hold on to shift, it will move faster. So you can go to object, change the radius of the top, change the radius of the bottom, however you want. Just feel free, play around with these things. Caps is, you can turn off the cap. As you can see on the top, it's turned it off. If I turn it back on, it's back on. You can also slice it into two, make the shape, you know some really interesting things found it right there. And I'll stop on this right here for this particular tutorial. Make sure you just play around with, there are all these other ones that you can always play with as well. And I'll catch you guys in the next tutorial. Ciao ciao.